Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia for a first in the history of our show, Ziggy. I don't think we've ever had an NBA reaction of any kind for any game, for any trade. This has to be a first for the show, right?
I mean, this is I put it in a group chat this morning. I think this is the biggest, shockingest NBA news since LeBron to the Heat. Like it's that level, what just happened.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Luka Doncic being traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, Anthony Davis going to the Dallas Mavericks. If you've been enjoying our content, and I know that we're usually football, but again, this is just so big. We wanted to dive in, and it's just fun to talk about. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You can always check us out on audio if you can't watch us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. I mean, you guys know who listen to the show that I work on an NBA podcast, Hoops Tonight with Jason Timpf. Jason does a great job, and it's the way that this business works is whenever you think you have a lull, something unbelievable happens. Now, normally not to this degree, but last night, Ziggy, I go out, I'm at Dave & Buster's. I haven't been to Dave & Buster's since I was 10 years old, 12 years old. And I'm with all my friends. We come back, we go to a diner late night. You know, that's what you do around here in Jersey. Late night, you go to a diner, you get some breakfast for dinner. And one of my good friends, one of my co-producers, he texts me like the update. And I'm extremely gullible. I believe these things all the time. So I looked at him and went like, holy crap. So I send it over to Jason immediately, and Jason writes back. He's like, someone must have hacked him. Like, there's no way. And Jason's on vacation too. So Jason's finally having a little bit of a break before we get back, trade deadline and everything. And of course, then all of a sudden now you start seeing these other messages come in, and we're just like, all right, I guess we gotta try and find a way. So we recorded today, but I was just laughing as it's coming in. I'm like, no, it can't be true. Oh my God, it is. And you're seeing the reactions on Instagram and TikTok of Mavericks fans who are all at parties on Saturday night screaming and freaking out that Luka's traded. And it's just, it's one of those things, like you said, you only get stories like this every few years. I mean, I was talking again with my friend Josh about what are the biggest NBA stories since like Michael Jordan, basically. I think you have LeBron James, all three of his decisions. Kevin Durant to the Warriors. Josh brought up Rudy Gobert having COVID. And then like this, like that's how big it is. I can't, I feel bad for Mavericks fans. It's hard to lose a player like that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't think this was possible. I don't mean just the trade. I wouldn't have thought the trade was possible, but I sort of thought we were past the era of genuinely shocking news. Because usually stuff like this, things start to leak out. Like it's in principle shocking, but you were seeing people assume that Shams was hacked because we hadn't heard a single thing about it. GMs around the NBA are saying, I can't believe this. Like usually, even when there's a big move, you knew that LeBron James might be leaving. You knew that Anthony Davis wanted out of New Orleans. Like there's a lot leading up to it. It's out of nowhere. Not a single insider is told. LeBron James didn't know this was going to happen. Like the trade just materializes. I've never seen anything like it. You're
totally
right. Like we'll get into the implications of it and the rest on the court. But just I thought we were past the era of genuinely shocking news with no warning whatsoever. Luka didn't ask for a trade. AD didn't ask for a trade. There was no indication there was anything that could happen. And then the announcement's the final deal.
Yeah, it's a great point because if you look at those examples I gave, forget about Rudy Gobert because that was, worldly news.
That was weird. That was different.
Yeah, and it was a huge story, but it's different from the other scenarios. LeBron leaving the Cavaliers the first time, like a lot of people thought he might go to the Bulls, the Nets, the Knicks. There were so many teams on the table. It was just a huge story because he's LeBron James. Same thing when he went back to Cleveland. There was some speculation. The Lakers one, everyone kind of had a good idea that he was interested in going to LA. And Kevin Durant, I was shocked he went to the Warriors. Like, I'll never forget 4th of July with my brother just looking up at me and going, oh my God, Durant's a Warrior. And my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe it. But even that, there was the possibility that KD could leave OKC. And you're right with this one. Like LeBron James didn't know. The guy who has all of his hands all over the Lakers and every single move they've done basically since he's been there had no idea. And Luka didn't want to leave.
Was so important that you don't care if LeBron James likes it or not.
It's a power move too by LA to take some of that back and be like, hey, at the end of the day, we need to do what's best for our organization. And now look, getting Luka Doncic obviously is a great move, I think, for any organization. You lose Anthony Davis, who's an unbelievable player in his own right, has always been. But when you look at this and real quick before we get into it, I just want to say one more thing, because I know we're NFL. I saw a great tweet that came out. It was like an NFL GM compared it to trading Jamar Chase for Mike Evans. I was enjoying watching all of these other sports trying to compare it. You saw F1. Someone said, please explain.
I think I had a good one.
What was yours?
It's like trading Josh Allen for Matthew Stafford, but your co-star is Antonio Brown.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's like, look, here's what I don't like about the a Jamar Chase comparison is when Anthony Davis is at his best, I think he's playing about as good as Luka. He has very different strengths, but he can be just as important for your team. He can be just as good when he's 100% on. The questions about the fit, there's questions about fit, there's questions about age and the rest. But at their best, these are two all-world players.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The friends I was with, they were all saying is Luka having foot amputations or something that the Lakers, that the Mavericks.
Terminal cancer? Is he going to die in 3 years?
That's actually one of my friends. But again, so he's turning 26 soon. Anthony Davis is turning 32 soon. And it's one of those things where, again, I know that, we're not an NBA show, but when you look at having a player who's 25 years old, consensus top 3, top 5, top 3 for sure, I would probably say, you can't get rid of those guys. I understand that there are people who say Anthony Davis on this Mavericks team is a better fit, and that, if you get Kyrie Irving playing at an elite level, having his defensive impact, that's what a lot of people in the Mavericks organization were saying, that this can help carry them to a championship within the next year or two. And look, you could talk yourself into it, but when you have someone who's like Luka Doncic and he's in the prime, maybe not even the prime of his career yet, I think it's inexcusable to trade talent like that. You have to you figure it out. You make it work, right? Even if he's completely out of shape, you have to find a way to keep one of the best scorers in the history of the game on your team, because that's the building block. That is the cornerstone of your franchise. Anthony Davis is not a cornerstone of the Mavericks going forward. Maybe for the next 2 or 3 years.
He could be if he were 25.
Yeah, but he's not. He's going to be 32 in a month. And it's just, look, I used to be a huge New Jersey Nets fan when I was a kid. I've become a Knicks fan since then because of the betrayal that crushed my heart. So my biggest fandom's by far the Vikings. If they traded Justin Jefferson away, right? And I don't even know what you could compare it to, but I would be crushed, because when you have generational, all-time talent, you don't let it go. And it's my, now look, if the Mavericks win the title this year, even then, I don't know if it's totally worth it, because who knows how many Luka could win, but at least that gives you a little solace. That was my immediate thought, though, was having all-time talent can never, ever leave the organization. I'm assuming you concur.
Yeah, it's what player in NBA history has the most all NBA first team selections at the age of 25? Luka Doncic. That's it. He is on pace, in many ways, to be the best player in NBA history.
Well,
and look,
yeah.
I'm not look, it's just by the numbers, by the selections. He's up there. He will retire an all-time great unless something dramatic happens. I'm not saying he's going to be the GOAT or whatever. I'm not.
If he retired now, he's one of the greats, right? Maybe not in that. He's not in that top 10.
He has a Hall of Fame case on the basis of the 7 seasons he's played.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, you step back and I don't think the reason was conditioning either, because I don't care what condition he's showing up. I don't care if he's showing up weighing 600 pounds. If he's putting up 8 a night. Who cares what shape he's in? He's an incredible player. He doesn't have an injury history. I think there's one simple explanation for why he was traded. It's not defense wins championships. It's not the conditioning. It's because Miriam Adelson, the owner of the Mavericks, doesn't want to pay the contract. Anthony Davis is on a cheaper contract, and you don't have to sign Luka Doncic to the $350 million or whatever. I think this is why so many Mavericks fans are upset. If you could justify it as a basketball move, that would be one thing. But the only way I can make any sense of this trade was the owners of the Mavericks saying, we want more money. We don't want to pay as much money for Luka Doncic. We're busy trying to build a resort and casino nearby. Like, we don't care about this. We don't care about the product on the court.
Yeah, and this doesn't this doesn't give the trade any real validation here, but
it makes it worse.
If you were, I'm saying if you were to trade Luka, I think getting Anthony Davis is about as good as you could probably get in return. Now, you probably still should have got, as in terms of one player. Now, they could have got a lot more draft picks. Like, you see, what was the trade? Marcus Smart was like Porzingis and multiple firsts. You didn't get a lot for a superstar. And Anthony Davis, again, if Anthony Davis was 27, 28, different story here. But you're right. Like, just look at Luka's numbers. You were talking about it. Like, this is his basketball reference page. Rookie of the year next season, MVP 4, All-NBA first team, MVP 6, All-NBA first team, MVP 5, All-NBA first team, NBA 8, All-NBA first team, NBA 3 or MVP 3, All-NBA first team. I mean, yeah, you just go up and down the basketball reference page for Luka. It's just it's ridiculous.
To the finals last year. You can't say they haven't had postseason success either.
Went to the finals last year in a loaded Western Conference, right?
Yeah, like I get that they lost to the Celtics, and you can say, well, the Celtics played better defense, and like, sure, whatever. Luka Doncic can be the 1A on a championship team.
Well,
and he's 25.
Yeah, I think everyone would agree with that. And for the Lakers, it's like a franchise-saving move. Because you looked up and down that roster and you said, all right, LeBron's 40 years old. Anthony Davis is about to be 32. I think LeBron will play one more season and retire. But then you have a 33-year-old Anthony Davis, and the rest of that roster is not that impressive. You have Austin Reeves there, and what else are you really taking to the bank? Now you have Luka Doncic. Now you have 26-year-old Luka, and you can build around him for the next 10 years. I think it's a unbelievable move. I saw the Moneyball memes about Rob Pelinka being like, how did we pull this off? And it's, I think it saves the Lakers. Now, in terms of this season, you're going to see everyone saying there's no front court in LA. Like they needed a center. Now they traded their power forward who is playing center, and it's going to hurt them. They need to make another move. Like, they just have to, right? If you want to try and win with LeBron these next 2 years.
Yeah, and I think you said this at the beginning of the show. This was a kind of seizing power back for Rob Pelinka and the Lakers, and that's right. Like, here is just the fact: Anthony Davis is LeBron's buddy, and the Lakers are less likely to win a championship this year, and the Mavericks are more likely to win a championship this year because of this move.
Maybe.
No, it's for the Mavericks, Anthony Davis with Kyrie Irving. It's a better fit than Luka and Kyrie. And the Lakers, you're right. Like, they can trade that first round pick and get some center, but he's not going to be as good as Anthony Davis. But like, none of that matters. That's not how you assess a trade like this. What you say is the Lakers they extended their championship window by 10 years.
Yeah.
They added 10 years to their championship window with this move. I can't think of another time in any sport where a team was able to do that. It feels like trading Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes in the NFL. Honestly, if you had asked me 2 days ago, most untradeable players in the NBA, number 1, Victor Wembanyama. Number 2, Luka.
I think you're right. And
I would have said Kyrie for Anthony Davis. I would have said, oh yeah, I can totally see it.
At the same time, though, Ziggy, by trading Luka, you take off 10 years from your championship window for the Mavericks.
That's what I don't get.
They had the meeting with Kidd and the GM, and they were saying, what's the long-term goal of this? And they were just like, look, my long-term goal is 3 to 4 years. I'm not thinking 10 years in the future. And maybe to some degree that's okay. And for most of your thought process of, hey, I want to try and keep our window open for these next 3 to 4 years. But a guy like Luka does keep it open for 10. There's only a handful of guys in the league where you say, hey, if we have him right now, you're talking like Anthony Edwards and Shea and Luka. There's so many dudes in the NBA that can extend your window that long where you're always going to be contending. It's like Joe Burrow saying the window is as long as I'm playing, right?
Yeah, sure. Surely Luka must have said, I'm not re-signing this summer.
I thought all the indications were that he wanted to come back.
Yeah, I'm struggling to imagine. I get that the NBA is a short-term business. I get that for maybe 2 years, Anthony Davis will still be relatively in his prime. But who knows, right? He's 31 now. You said he'll be 32 next month. He's like one leg injury away from his prime basically passing and his career being close to over. I can't imagine as a GM why you would ever make this trade unless Luka says, I'm going to keep it quiet, but there's no way I'm coming back.
Yeah, that maybe that's it. Because Anthony Davis has his own issues.
I refuse to believe it's anything else.
Yeah, AD has his own issues being healthy, like you said, and he's slowing down. Hey, look, one injury at this point in his career, and he could be done. You know,
he's a basically 32-year-old center,
and
those
he's good.
Guys, he's incredibly
awesome.
Athletic, but those guys don't age well.
This could be even a wake up call for Luka too, where you're like, if he sees this, and again, we don't know. There's probably more going on behind the scenes. But if Luka finds this disrespectful, he's like, screw this.
He's a competitive guy. And what's coming out of the Mavericks front office? Well, he's fat and lazy.
Yes, exactly.
Like that's what they're saying,
yes.
Right? Like he's fat, he's lazy. We'd rather have 32-year-old Anthony Davis than that bum. We don't want to pay him. We want to build a resort.
Exactly. And if I'm Luka Doncic, now Luka's got all the money in the world and blah blah blah. But if that competitive fire isn't lit from that, that's another problem. But if it is, like, look out, you know. That's the thing where people are saying the Mavericks are better positioned to win now, and yeah, you probably agree. Like the fit works better, but this is where I'm getting lost in all this. It's Luka Doncic. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to be able to sit here confidently and say having AD instead of Luka, despite the fit, makes the Mavericks better. If Luka scores 60 points in a game, he scores 60 points, and the Maverick, like he gets hot, the Mavericks can go to the finals and they can win. They can beat anybody because you have a guy like that, a flamethrower. That's where it's probably a better team overall to contend, but they're not the favorite in the West now. And I think having a guy like Luka who could win any game or win any series, I don't know. Like, I'm not an NBA guy, so we're doing this because it's fun to react. I just look at a player of Luka's caliber, and it's not obvious to me that the Mavericks are better positioned to win now without him now and definitely in the future. It's great.
Yeah. No. I mean, you're certainly right. And Luka he's averaged 30 points per game over his playoff career. And last year, I mean, we saw two of the better teams in the West Coast, right? OKC and Minnesota. And he almost single-handedly carried the Mavs past them. He played huge in all sorts of big games through that run. So
they ran into a buzzsaw Celtics
the Clippers series, like I don't know. I'm with you. The only reason people are coming out and saying it makes the Mavs better this year is because you have to come up with something. Like, it feels bad to just point and say these guys are idiots. These are the least intelligent people alive, which is why I'm speculating that there's got to be some off the court reason, like the owner's checkbook. But if I were a Mavs fan, like, I don't understand how you can support the team after this. You hit the lottery. You drafted the Hawks traded with you and let you draft the all-world talent. You got him.
You got the franchise quarterback. You said it before. You got the Mahomes, the Allen, the Burrow, the Lamar. You had that. You can't just imagine the Bengals sending away Joe Burrow. Right, like after this year, and they're like, it just doesn't make sense.
And the things in the NBA, it's even harder to get those guys. In the NFL, at least, like, you can get Lamar Jackson at the end of the first round. You can trade up for Josh Allen. You very rarely can you trade up to the top of the NBA draft and select a guy like Luka Doncic. And if you look at the teams that win championships in the NBA, basically all of them are built around a guy who was taken with a top 5 draft pick.
Yeah, I said to my coworker,
and if you're the Mavs, let's not forget 2027, they owe their unprotected first. 2028, they owe their unprotected first. 2029, hey, it's top 2 protected guys, way to go. 2030, they owe their unprotected first round pick. Like, they don't have first round picks when Kyrie's going to be old and AD's going to be 36.
I told my coworker that one way to put it, when you're looking at who won this trade, and for the people who are saying Dallas, every single headline, but every single headline and every single caption on thumbnails is Luka to Lakers. Do you know how great of a player you need to have be on the other end of a trade when Anthony Davis is going to one of the teams? Anthony Davis is one of the very best players in the league. He's like top 10 player in the NBA. And he's not even mentioned in the captions on the thumbnail. It's all Luka to Lakers.
Averaging 26 and 12, and it's like he's a bum.
He's not talked about. Yeah, he's being talked about like a bum in these conversations. That's kind of the magnitude of it. It's cool though. Like, this is what's so fun about being a sports fan. It's you You get moments like this where everyone's just like, no one even cares about the games. People just care about the drama in the NBA right now. Did you see the Mavericks score at halftime today?
No, I didn't take a look.
They were losing 91-46 to the Cavaliers.
Yeah, I mean, it's AD's not there though.
No, he's not. But I'm just saying.
I know that's tough, but
if you're a Mavericks fan,
did they lose to the Pistons last night too?
Did they lose to the Pistons?
I'm pretty sure they lost to the Pistons by like 20.
Hold on, let me see that. That'd be. Yeah, they lost by 43 today, and then last night they lost.
I guess that was 2 nights ago.
Yeah, 2 nights ago.
Yeah,
but you're past what 18 hours as a Mavericks fan has been Luka Doncic traded down 45 at halftime.
I'd quit the team. Like, I'm 100% serious. If the Vikings did this to us, like if they traded Justin Jefferson for an older player and a single first round pick.
Yeah, it's tough. That's tough.
I remember reading this was the first time in NBA history that 2 active all NBA players were swapped mid-season. Like, it's, people make fun of the NBA trade deadline for being boring. And while it's not always boring, usually there's like guys around the edges traded. Maybe there's one star who you really saw coming. There's like lots of cap geekery for people like me to get excited about. But there's like, you don't see trades like this in any sport where it's just top 10 player for top 10 player. Let's see what we've got.
No, the NBA star power is pretty special. You look at, like, I think if you were to rank the top 5 most famous athletes in America, right, of the big four sports, LeBron's in there. You probably have it's probably LeBron, Curry, Durant, Mahomes, and Kelsey, right?
Yeah, and that's not including retired as like Michael Jordan is number 1.
Oh, period. Yeah. I mean, if you get into that, then it gets interesting. But the NBA star power,
even among like the all-time retired guys, it's NBA guys.
Yeah.
Shaq. Like, it's the NBA just has a cultural cachet that even though the NFL is more viewers and is more popular, and the NFL just doesn't have and has never had a star like Michael Jordan, like Shaquille O'Neal, like Kobe Bryant, like LeBron James.
And it's the international pull too is crazy with these guys. Like beyond domestic, that's what I've always found cool about the NBA is that star power. It's more like a rock and roll star as opposed to a sports figure. It's pretty cool, and you just don't see these guys be traded around very often. So, all right, we'll wrap it up there. Again, we're just trying this out, so let us know if you enjoyed this. We're probably gonna. I would not imagine we're gonna get too into NBA over the course of the rest of this offseason, but look,
who knows if this can happen? Like, I think this is the big thing that everybody's taking away from this. If this trade can happen, anything can happen in sports.
Yep.
Like, you just never know.
With our
Patrick
audience,
Mahomes could get traded.
If Giannis goes, we'll do that because given our audience, I'm sure that people would be pretty crushed there. But yep, this was fun. I enjoyed doing this, Ziggy. So we'll see what happens over the next few weeks. But hey, there's always something, right? There's always something going on. We'll see you guys with Super Bowl preview stuff this week. The NFL, believe it or not, the NFL is also going on in a week, the biggest game of the year. So we'll see you soon.